Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Robin. Today I am going to talk to you about becoming a human lie detector, learning how to trust yourself and others. Most of my life can be summed up in two words: bad decisions. And don't get me wrong, I've made some fantastic decisions. I joined the Marines right out of high school. I had three beautiful children. I've made some great career choices, and I've had a lot of accomplishments. I do admire my strength and resilience as well as my determination. But did it need to be so hard? Did I make my life so much more difficult than it had to be? Yes. The answer to that is yes. Some of the things that I did that never served my highest purpose were having irrational fears, self-sabotaging behaviors, addictions, codependency, obsessive thinking or overthinking, trusting the wrong people, and then the biggest one was not trusting myself. Not trusting myself was the driver of all of those other things. When I look back at my past, I saw years worth of evidence to support the fact that I could not trust myself, nor should I be trusting myself. In fact, I should be doing the opposite of whatever I wanted to do. I was constantly in fight or flight mode. I had high anxiety, stress, depression, and at one point I had suicidal thoughts. I felt like such a failure. I failed not only myself, but my kids, my family, my friends. I felt like I let everyone down. That shame and the guilt that I felt just kept piling on top of the already existing issues that I had. It was during the worst point of my life that I finally decided to take responsibility for my life, face the decisions that I made, hold myself accountable, forgive myself, and move on. And it was also during this time, what I refer to as my personal transformation, that I began learning to make decisions by following my soul, or also called your inner being or your true self. I was journaling hours and hours a day, writing intentions, meditating, and healing. While going through this process, I began to realize how intuitive I was, and we all are. Everyone has those gifts. When I looked back at the decisions I had been making, I realized that there was always this voice buried deep down inside that always knew the truth, knew the path, knew the decision that I should take. And I realized that I was not listening to that voice. I started to tune into that voice more and more. I started to make decisions intuitively instead of my fears and instead from my ego, and not from my ego. It took me about 2 years of trial and error in order to really hone this skill. And today I would say I operate at about 80 to 90% from intuitive information, right from my inner being, consistently. I have a secret though. I know how to do it now in 45 days and with ease. So let me break down what the problem is first. There's 3 voices inside our head. So the first one is our self, our soul, our inner being. The second is the ego. And then the third is this hurt or traumatized child. I had been operating and making decisions probably from the time that I was about 10 years old, from the second and the third. So from the ego and the hurt, traumatized child, they were running my life. And those two operate very similarly for similar reasons. I was very rarely operating from the first, which is my true self, and that's my compass. That, your true self knows always the answer, always knows the way. You see, my past experiences kept triggering my ego and that traumatized little girl in me. They were doing their job protecting me, because based on their experience, I could not be trusted. They needed to override my thought process in order to protect me, which is our ego's job. Our ego's job is to protect us, to keep us alive. I'm going to link a video I did a year or two ago on the ego, because I talked a lot about the ego and what you want to do to like become friends with your ego. Okay, so in the center, you see we have your true self. Your true self is all-knowing, understanding, and trusting. And you also see your chakras, which are all in alignment. The top, that first, well, it's your seventh chakra, but the one at the top of your head is the crown chakra. And that is trusting the universe. That is trusting everything that is happening to you. On the left, we have the ego. On the right, we have the traumatized child. We want to stay focused on the true self, that all-knowing, understanding, and trusting portion. Okay? We have that within us. And we want to get rid of the ego and that traumatized child from making the decisions and running our life. How do we do that? How do we become a human lie detector in 45 days? So the first thing that I knew I needed to do is realize that those decisions that I made in the past, they were driven by my ego, which is designed to protect me. They were driven by the traumatized child that was inside me, who was also trying to protect me. Those two were doing the best that they could under the circumstances. I had to forgive myself. I had to let go of all of those mistakes that I made. You can use the Ho'oponopono to do this. I recommend Sandra Wallace. Her channel is incredible. Look up the Ho'oponopono, and that's about forgiving yourself. The third thing that I would recommend is to make a commitment to yourself and give yourself permission to learn how to trust yourself. And then the fourth is to retrain the ego and that traumatized child, that you can trust yourself so that they can step back. You can't get rid of them. They're there. They've served their purpose. But you could train them to trust your inner being and step back so that they don't have to keep jumping in, saving you. Okay. So I did it the hard way, and it took me about 2 years in order to build this process on my own. Recently, I came across Maureen Saint Germain, and this is brilliant. This is in either the Akashic Records or Waking Up in 5D. And I have been recommending this to everyone that I'm coming in contact with who have this same issue where you're not trusting yourself. You're going to select a time frame. And now she recommends 45 days. There's a reason for 45 days. So it takes 45 days. So it takes 21 days to build a habit. But it takes 45 days to reprogram the brain and get these chemicals firing in the way that you need them to fire. The chemicals in your brain are not firing correctly. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this. You got dopamine. You're triggering all of these chemicals from the wrong parts of your brain. It will take you 45 days in order to redirect them and get the right chemicals flowing in your brain. Commit to 45 days. Next, figure out what your practice period end date is going to be. So figure out what your 45 days. So it'll be today plus 45 days, wherever that gets you. You're going to get a journal. So I elaborate a little bit more on this. You're going to get a journal. You want a journal just to dedicate to this. You can use an app on your phone, like a notepad or whatever, but I like writing it. I personally like writing it. Get a journal. Commit to the 45 days. You are going to now, for 45 days, ask yourself yes or no questions. No open-ended questions. Only yes or no questions. Should I wear the red shirt today? Should I eat eggs today? Should I have a cantaloupe today? Should I take a different route to work today? Only yes or no questions. And you're going to ask the unimportant, insignificant questions that you do not care about the outcome. Should I take this route to work today? Should I wear the red shirt? Keep asking new questions about what to wear until you get a yes. So what you're doing is you're going to be writing or asking these questions. Now, again, I like to write them because it's going to help you document that you've asked this question, you got this answer, and then you're going to see a positive outcome later on. So a lot of these decisions, you're going to see positive outcomes for them later on. And therefore you want to start collecting some data that you can go back, some concrete data that you can look back and say, oh my God, I could really trust myself. Wow, I can trust myself. Okay, so you're going to ask these unimportant questions throughout the day as often as 30 to 50 times. Always follow through on the answer. No exceptions. You're going to use your brain. So you're going to ask the question. Whatever pops in, a yes or no is going to pop into your brain. If a no pops up, ask another question. So if you say, should I wear the red shirt today? And you automatically see no. Should I wear the blue shirt today? No. Should I wear the yellow shirt today? Yes. So you're going to do this like 30 to 50 times a day. This is training your ego and the hurt child in you, that they could step back, because you're going to prove to them that you can trust yourself. You can trust these decisions that are coming to you intuitively. After your practice period, if you decide not to follow your higher self, it's okay, but you will probably regret it. I'm just going to give you a heads up on that. Do not ask important questions. If you absolutely cannot defer asking the question until after your 45 days, then make an exception, but exceptions are rare. So for instance, something that's really important to you. Should I go out with this guy? Should I date this guy again that I dumped, or he dumped me? Like, those are kind of important. Your ego and your hurt little girl or your hurt little boy is going to pop in and tell you, don't do it, don't do it. Or, oh yeah, they're going to be good to you this time. Don't ask yourself those questions if you don't have to. Don't ask predictive questions such as, will the traffic light change before I get there? Or will the phone ring in the next few minutes? These types of questions are inviting your ego to track your progress. You do not want your ego involved in this. That's why you're going to ask the most insignificant questions and just document those. Do not use any forms of divination during this practice period. So don't use kinesiology, muscle testing, finger testing, cards, or pendulums. Divination has its place and can be useful, but not during your practice period. This includes tarot readings. The tarot readings, and I'm doing a video on this, it'll come out within the next week or two, why astrology and tarot readings are messing up your life. So watch out for that. But you're gonna set this 45-day practice in place. What do you accomplish with this? You train yourself to trust yourself and the decisions that you're making for your highest self. It eliminates stress, fear, shame, guilt. It balances your chakras, keeps you centered. Now, here's the good part. Because after this process, you become a human lie detector. Not only can you not lie to yourself, but people can no longer lie to you. Because After you train the ego and the hurt child to step back, and you just tap into your crown chakra, you tap into yourself, and you ask yourself, your highest self, is this person lying to me? You're going to get a yes or a no. And you're going to get an answer that you can trust, that you could take to the bank. And you're going to know that you could trust it. And if you do some research on this, check out Maureen St. Germain, because she talks about a relationship that she had where she knew the guy was lying to her and how she handled it. And it was really beautiful. But it was because she could trust herself now. She could trust that inner voice. And then, I alluded to the way that she handled it, because point 5, you end up developing compassion for those who live like this. Those who have lied to you, you begin to understand the reasoning behind them lying is fear. You begin to see how your own ego and the traumatized child in you has been lying to you to protect you. And as you start to quiet those voices down and you listen to your true self, the amount of compassion that you begin to have for other people when you know that they're lying to you, but you begin to understand that they're lying to you out of shame, out of guilt, trying to protect their ego or trying to protect that hurt child. Honestly, the amount of compassion now that I have for people, I know when someone's lying to me. And I don't even need to call them out on it. I don't feel the need to call them out. I kind of just send them love because I feel compassion for them. I remember lying to myself. I remember lying to other people about my life. And I had to go back and forgive myself for that. And I had to have compassion for myself. And now I have compassion for those people that are doing it because I recognize that in them. It's actually a really beautiful thing. You begin to create a safe space for people to be truthful. So again, when I know someone's lying to me, I go back inside and I say, what kind of space or container am I providing when I have a conversation with this person? That they feel the need to protect themselves, that they feel the need to lie to me in order to protect themselves. They're not trying to hurt me, they're trying not to hurt themselves. So it helps me become who I need to be for them so that they can come through and they don't need to lie to me anymore. I want to create a safe space for people to come to me and have open and honest conversations. I don't want them to feel like they need to protect themselves from shame or guilt or judgment. You stop overreacting when you make a mistake. You now see nothing as a mistake, only a redirection. So even the times that you don't make the right decision or you don't trust yourself, when you recognize it, you're like, oh yeah, I get it. Okay, well, I got redirected. I can either get back over there or now I got to find a new way around that. But you stop judging yourself. All right, guys. Thank you for support. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, post them down below in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you can get notified every time I upload a video. Have an amazing day.